hell. You know I'm bad. I have murdered a rock. I injured a stone, and I hospitalized a brick. I'm so bad I make medicine sick. I'm so fast, man, I can run through a hurricane and don't get wet. When George Foreman meets me, he'll pay his debt. I can drown a drink of water and kill a dead tree. Wait till you see Muhammad Ali.
It seems to me that egoists run the world. They are the star athletes, they're the heads of companies, and they always seem to be on top of the food chain wherever they are at. And if you really think about it, some of the most popular characters in fiction are actually egoists. Think of Tyler Durden's Fight Club or Christian Bale's Batman. And even in real life, a lot of the most popular people, specifically in sports, that the crowd seem to respond to most well are athletes with huge egos. Think of Mike Tyson or John Jones. And another thing I find interesting about these egoists is that they have this charisma about them. They have this like magnetic pull that seems to draw people in. And it's always fascinated me because they're put on this pedestal, and despite that, society often normalizes not having an ego. You're told to be humble, you're told to stay in your lane, and I find that quite interesting and paradoxical. See, when I was a kid, I often felt like I was judged for trying things. Whenever I would go out and pursue something new, I would remember being bullied for it, and that led me to develop a really bad self-esteem because if I did something that seemed out of the ordinary or that society didn't approve of, I would feel like people would view me as less valuable in comparison to them. And it was this lack of ego and this lack of confidence that if I had a more healthy relationship with my ego, and despite all this external noise, despite what society was telling me, if I had simply pursued my interests more and decided earlier on that I don't give a fuck or I don't give a shit what people think, I'm gonna do me, I would probably be a lot further along than I am right now. I probably would have started my YouTube channel sooner. Maybe I'd be even at 100,000 subscribers by now. But alas, you live and you learn. And now I feel like I've developed a really good relationship with my ego. Now I feel like I'm the shit. I've done a lot of crazy things. I've accomplished a lot of my goals, and I could talk all day. But in this video, I want to share with you three ideas that really helped me develop a sense of ego that is healthy and has allowed me to pursue my dreams and achieve my goals, at least some very monumental goals to me in the short run that I'm going into the long run. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around and let's get right into it. Idea number 1, you have to visualize yourself having already achieved your dreams. One of my favorite quotes from Muhammad Ali goes, "I am the greatest. I said that before I even knew I was." I really like this quote because it reinforces the power of visualization and imagination. We can safely assume Ali was probably telling himself that way before the championships and way before glory, way before the fame, way before all of it. He told himself that when the only thing he had to reinforce his idea was imagining him winning that glory, imagining him winning those titles and becoming the greatest of all time. I find this quote super applicable to my own life as a boxer myself. Whenever I see myself sparring and I get scared and I envision myself getting my ass whooped and I think, oh no, I'm scared of this guy. Guess what ends up usually happening? I end up getting my shit rocked, and that's quite normal. But if I find myself having fun, taking up space, moving around, dancing around the ring, I often find that I perform better. And even in our training, coach tells us that before we throw the first punch, we have to get it in our mind that we're going to be fast and explosive. And more time than not, whenever I do that, whenever I get it in my mind when I'm going to shadow box or I'm going to train, that I'm going to be fast and that each punch is going to be explosive, I find that I'm a lot faster and a lot more explosive, and my shadow boxing quality has improved, and therefore I improve as a boxer. Even now that I'm doing YouTube, I see myself with 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. Now, whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that if I approach it with the idea that I have already achieved that dream and I have achieved that goal, I'm more likely to succeed in actually attaining that objective than if I were not to. In essence, what I'm doing is visualizing the results. Visualization isn't daydreaming, it's mental training. Before every fight, Ali saw himself as the champion. Before I spar, I see myself dominating. Before I hit record on my camera for this YouTube video, I see myself talking to 100,000 subscribers. So what I want you to do is the next time you take on an endeavor or you decide to go pursue something, I want you to visualize yourself having already achieved the goal it is you are aspiring to. If you're going to go take a test, imagine yourself answering all the questions correctly. If you're going to go to the gym, imagine seeing yourself breaking all your PRs. Or even if you're like me and you want to make YouTube videos, every time you hit record on your camera or cell phone, see yourself talking to millions of people. Your mind follows what it rehearses. So the more you visualize the outcome that you desire, the more likely your body will be to follow. Idea number 2. You have to become an expert at something. Now, don't get me wrong. The idea of imagination and visualization and belief is cool and all. Those are great things. But at the end of the day, we live in a results-based society. So if you want to see confidence manifest into the real world that isn't just an attitude, you have to become an expert at something. Think about it. You won't get a raise if you don't justify it behind skills when asking your employer to give you more money. You won't get that dream partner that you've always wanted by sitting around being lazy and not working on yourself. And if you look into the real world, the reason no one questions Mike Tyson whenever asking his opinion on boxing, for instance, or what he thinks an outcome is going to be, even if he's wrong, his expertise in that field gives him a good idea to confidently give his opinion. Ego and skill are interlinked. So is confidence. And a good way to get people not to like you and to be delusional is to have an ego with no skill to back it up. In my own personal life, I would say my expertise lies in photography. And before I was known by my friends as the photographer, and before people knew me as a photographer, I would post, photos and self-portraits of myself that I thought looked cool. Sure, some people may have thought they looked corny, and looking back on I think myself some of them looked corny. But if I hadn't gone through that phase of just, working at it and developing this skill, I wouldn't have had people come to me for professional work. And all the clients I've ever gotten through photography for professional work, like whether it be senior pictures or a few weddings I've done. I haven't done anything crazy, like I've never been flown out or anything like that. But a lot of the times, a good 95% of them, I didn't have to ask. They came to me. And the reason they came to me is because they saw that I had a skill in something. They saw that I could do something well. Therefore, they came to me because they saw that my ego and my confidence with the camera was justified because of the photos that I would take. So if you haven't already, pick something to get really good at. And if you already have something you're good at, become an expert at it. And the more authority you gain within that field, the more your confidence grows. And the more your influence as an authoritative figure also expands within that community. A surgeon doesn't get nervous before operating. A fighter doesn't get nervous about throwing a punch. The better you get at something, the more confidence you'll exude. And the louder your ego will be, and the more it'll be respected. Idea 3. You have to get used to being uncomfortable. I know. You've probably heard this advice before. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you went out of your way to make yourself uncomfortable? When was the last time you went and intentionally pushed yourself to do something you knew was out of your comfort zone? If you accustom yourself to difficult tasks, the more easy other tasks will seem in comparison. And the more things seem easy in comparison, the more confident you are in your ability to get the job done, even if it's something you've never done before, and even if it's something else that's also difficult. One really good example I like of this is Luke from the YouTube channel The Outdoor Boys. Now that guy's crazy. And the reason I say that is because his entire YouTube channel is basically him putting himself in these really crazy situations and then surviving them and living to tell another tale while documenting his time. So he makes it deliberately harder on himself just to record it and like make the shot sometimes look cinematic. Like that dude's crazy. But do you think he lacks confidence in a day-to-day life? Do you think that he would walk around, you know, scared to do things or even fazed by challenges? I highly doubt it, because he's put himself through so many intensive situations that by comparison, the day-to-day problem solving may not seem like anything to him. Now, I don't know him personally, and I'd love to hear his opinion on this if he ever sees this video. But I would bet that he has a pretty solid confidence in himself to be able to figure something out and to be able to problem solve on the fly, because he has survived extremely difficult challenges in comparison that most people don't even imagine themselves going through. If you train your mind to seek difficult challenges, the easier other challenges will become. Because if you succeed in things previous, why wouldn't you be able to succeed in the things that you are facing now? So you have to look for hard things to do and make yourself uncomfortable, because that is how your confidence will grow. Even if you're faced with a problem you haven't faced before, you've survived up till now, you can always go further. What I'm hoping you get out of this video is that having an ego is not arrogance. Having an ego is healthy, and it's a form of having confidence. Ego is knowing your worth before the world confirms it. Think of it. The greatest athletes, the leaders, the icons, they aren't waiting for permission by the world to be great. So build the belief, sharpen your skills, and walk into every room and know that you belong there. That's not arrogance, that's power, and the world respects power. I'll see you guys in the next one.